Welcome back to the Christian Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Avant. And today I am so excited to bring you a special conversation as a part of the February series, Faithful and Wise, Navigating AI as a Christian Business Owner. In this episode, I'm joined by Misty Phillip, best-selling author, speaker, and co-author of Upskill or Die, Thriving in the AI Revolution. Missy is also a strong Christian woman with deep expertise in cybersecurity and AI. And today we're going to talk about how faith and technology can coexist without fear. So I wanted to welcome you, Misty. Thank you so much for being here.
I love the opportunity to talk about faith and AI.
So for those of you who may not know Misty, she share a little bit about her background and what led her to write Upskill or Die.
So we met through Spark Media. I started Spark Media, the first Christian podcast conference to help Christians podcast. I wanted to bring community together. So I started a podcast community, a podcast network to help podcasters make money. We had radio collaborations, conferences, nationally distributed magazine. I was doing all the things and I got completely burned out. And my husband said, "Baby, come work with me." And I said, "You want me to do what? Like, I am not technical at all." And so I said yes to my husband after about a year and a half of wrestling with the Lord and making sure it was what he wanted me to do. And finally, I surrendered Spark Media to the Lord and said yes to my husband. And I came on, and the first thing I had to do, you'll like this, was make a dictionary of terms because all of these tech people, they all talk in acronyms. And there's something called a SOC, which is the Security Center. And then there's SOX, which is SOX, Urbane SOX. I can't even think of how you say it now. Anyway, they're two totally different things. One is the financial audit. The other one has to do with the security center. But when you hear sock and you hear socks, is that like one sock or is it a pair of socks, or you know what I'm saying? So I just had to, Sarbanes-Oxley, there we go. I just had to figure out what they were saying. And the one place that I could really double down, which gave me a level playing field, was in AI, because in 2023 is when we really saw AI as we know it come on the scene. Prior to that, it's been around since the 70s in machine learning. It's in everything that we do, whether we know it or not. Our photo editing apps, our phones, our maps. Netflix uses it to tell us what we should watch next. So AI is everywhere, in just maybe in the form of machine learning. But what we know of, ChatGPT became all the rage. And so I started doubling down on learning about that. And that's what led to us writing Upskill or Die. My husband and I talk about what's happening. My husband reads probably the news about 4 hours a day just to keep up. This technology is moving so fast. And so I put a post on Facebook asking my friends, what do you think of AI? What is it? How do you use it? And most of them responded with, it's ChatGPT. I like it. I don't like it. I use it. I don't use it. And at that point, we had moved from generative AI with the frontier models, which are Perplexity and Gemini and Claude and Grok and ChatGPT. We'd moved from that model to agentic AI. And agentic AI is where you assign to an AI agent a task that a human would do. And they run autonomously. And that is what is going to disrupt the market. And I knew my friends who were sending their kids to college for programming degrees that they're not going to be worthwhile. All of my friends who are authors, it is going to completely disrupt publishing, writing, copywriting, the film industry. I mean, it is literally office jobs everywhere are going to be disrupted. And so I knew that that was a book that we had to write. But when God gave it to me, it was kind of a 2-part series. And we've got that next part coming out, which is for for the audience of faith, because how do we faithfully use it? So I'm so glad you're doing this series about using technology faithfully.
That's right. That is really where our audience is. So my audience here are creators and speakers. And so for them, what are the biggest fears that you see Christians having? And which ones are valid versus which ones do you think are exaggerated?
Yeah, so I think fear comes from a place of not knowing, right? You don't know, and so that makes you afraid.
Be
Everyone needs to
educated.
be educated on AI. They need to understand what it can do and what it can't do. So AI is simply, it is a tool. In the hands of a good person, you can do good things. The problem is it's a very powerful tool in the hands of a bad actor. You can do bad things with it too. So, especially in our business and cybersecurity, we see AI used in ways that can defeat the bad guys who are trying to perpetrate cyber attacks. But the bad guys
Right.
are also
Right.
using it to cause more, and it's at such a fast rate of speed that humans are going to have a hard time keeping up with, because AI just runs so much faster than we're able to run.
That's true. That's true. You often talk about AI as something to steward rather than to fear. What is faithful stewardship like when it comes to using AI?
So I think if you're going to use AI, you need to use AI as like a personal assistant. So for me, when I was podcasting full time, I would use a system to put my podcast episode into a player and it would generate show notes for me. Well, that saved me an hour's worth of time that I could better spend, researching for my episode or actually recording episodes. So I think if we use it as a tool that can help in productivity, as opposed to putting personal information into it, asking it questions about our physical health, looking at it like a companion, asking for spiritual advice, those are things that should be done in community, with a pastor, with a friend. The problem becomes when we become isolated and we're locked in and we're just using AI and we're not getting human input, or we're putting information into AI because it's collecting data about all of us. And why do you think they need all of those data centers? So that they can store all of that information. And so I think we need to be wise about the ways that we use it. And I think that's the stewardship.
That makes so much sense. And I'm like you, I use it more as like a personal assistant or to help me brainstorm and things like that. So, why is it important for Christians to engage with and upskill in AI rather than to ignore it altogether?
Yeah. So if we ignore it, we're abdicating our right to have a voice in its development. And I think that is why we need to understand it. We need to be educated on it. We need to use it to advance our skills. But not only that, in the corporate world, companies whose people know how to use AI effectively to run agents and use agents, those will be the people that keep their jobs. And so I don't want anybody to lose their job to AI. So I want them to be trained and aware, but they also can't abdicate their voice in this technology that is radically changing the world.
That is so true. So, for the Christian business owner who feels overwhelmed or behind by AI, what encouragement would you offer?
You're not behind because it's only been around since 2023. And in Upskill or Die, at the back of the book, I think it's one of the best parts of the book is we tell you how to incorporate it into your daily learning. I think we should always be learning.
Love that part of your book.
Yeah. And actually, I'm in the middle of developing a course for believers on AI because I think that
Great.
is going to be really important for us to be thoroughly educated and understand what it is and what it's not and how we can use it in ways. I think a lot of people too think especially authors. I'm going to pick on authors for just a second because I am one. And so, they don't like the fact that their hard work has been put into this body of information that other people can draw from. But really, there's nothing new under the sun. We stand on the shoulders of giants. When we create our ideas, we're not just creating them from nothing. It's come from our lived experience, from things other people have said, other people have written. So really, I think that we don't let AI just write our books, but we do use it as a resource. One of the ways that I was able to use AI with my newest book is once I would finish a chapter, I would put it into AI and then I would ask it to critique it. And then once the whole book was done, I said, do an editorial review of the entire book. So all along, I was putting it in there. I was taking what it would say, taking suggestions, improvements, deciding what I thought was valid, what I thought wasn't, because might say maybe another example here. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. What other example could I add? And so there's ways of using it that are more of not turning over our agency and our human thinking, but using it to supplement our productivity.
Absolutely. So I want everyone to read your book and also to know about your new book that's going to be coming out. So can you tell us how they can learn more about Upskill and Die and
Yeah,
your new
so
one?
the new book is The Trojan Horse of the Digital Age: Why Christians Must Discern AI, and it provides a biblical framework for parents, for pastors, anybody that wants to understand how to use AI, and it's all backed up with a biblical framework. So we don't have to face AI with fear. God has told us not to have a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So they can go to mistyphillip.com, and that's where all of the information about the Trojan Horse book. Sign up for the launch team. I need as many people as I can to get this message out there. And on the launch team, we're going to have a lot of prizes, and you'll get early access to the book and lots of fun stuff. So would love for people to join there, and they can get all of that information on both books and everything I do at mistyphillip.com.
I encourage you to go over there because that's really how I've kept up is I follow Misty on social media, and that has helped me to learn so more. Of course, we've been friends for a long time now, and that has helped me as well. So I'm excited about the new book. Well, I want to thank you, Misty, for taking the time to be with us, to share your expertise, and to encourage these Christian authors that they can use AI and not be afraid.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. And if I can just leave them with this one fact is first of all, get in the word of God, stay in the word of God. Because we have to have that to know what is true.